Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Zelensky and Mr. Elias, you put duty over country, and you have come to testify today, putting your job at risk. And I think the nation owes you both a debt of gratitude for coming forward as whistleblowers. Now, Mr. Elias, last summer, the state of California announced that it had reached an agreement with 4 automakers on air quality standards that would be stricter than the rules the Trump administration was preparing to adopt for the country, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And when California announced that agreement, President Trump made clear that he did not like it, didn't he?
He did criticize the agreement on Twitter, yes.
And on August 20th, 2019, the New York Times reported that he was, quote, enraged by California's deal, end quote. Trump even apparently called a White House meeting to plot ways to retaliate, all because he resented the fact that California and the 4 automakers would dare to undermine his loosening of air quality emission standards. So the next day, August 21st, Trump went public and he threatened the 4 automakers, saying that these companies, quote, will be out of business, end quote, if they don't get in line. Then, the day after those tweets, August 22nd, President Trump's Justice Department followed through on that threat. That's when Assistant Attorney General Dal Rahim gave an instruction to your division to start an antitrust investigation immediately into those 4 automakers. Is that correct?
That is when the instruction to open the investigation happened on August 22nd, yes.
And so the president tweets out threats, and then the next day the automakers get hit with an antitrust investigation. That's what happened, didn't it?
And a point I would like to underscore is normally for significant, complicated matters, people put time and attention into assessing potential defenses.
But you didn't have any time to do that because the president made the order on August 22nd, on August 21st, and the investigation began on August 22nd.
There was very little time between those 2 events, yes.
Do you believe that the department commenced that investigation based on good faith belief that they had committed a violation of the antitrust laws or not?
So the career staff who examined it saw some very obvious defenses, things called state action, nor Pennington, and you really have to twist things to get around those. So it did not appear to be in good faith, no.
That investigation didn't have anything to do with protecting the American people from anti-competitive behavior, did it?
So the career staff who reviewed it had some great concerns about opening it, especially the people who were then charged with actually conducting the investigation. They documented their concerns with the legal underpinning of the case, and if you're immune from eventual prosecution for something because you have a legal defense, you should be immune from investigation for having committed
the law was clear that the state of California was immune.
So what I describe in my complaint is how staff was not given enough time to go through and properly understand the defenses.
And I wish I could give you a chance to explain more, but bottom line, it wasn't a legitimate antitrust investigation, was it?
That's what my complaint alleges, yes.
And if it had been, the first step would have been for the department to get with California officials and get the facts from those officials, but it never did even establish contact with California, did it, before it instituted the investigation?
That step is permitted even before an investigation. You could have resolved things even before opening the investigation, but it's correct, yeah. To my knowledge, they were never contacted. So
what we have here is a clear-cut case of the antitrust division being made to respond to a president's tweet the day before to begin an investigation that had no basis in law or in fact. Would you describe that as an abuse of authority of the upper echelons of the Justice Department?
I did submit my complaint to the IG on the grounds that the events here constituted an abuse of authority.
All right, with that, I will yield back. Thank you.
Gentleman yields back.
Great senators. Hi, Chuck. He used to love me when I was a Democrat, you know.